At my old college, in Waterville, Maine, there was a small building that was half college, half maintenance closet. The off-kilter non-required experimental classes were taken there. You know the ones. Classes where the teacher is teaching for the first time. You get the feeling that if the accreditation people were coming that year, they wouldn't offer the course. Well, I had reason to be in this building about 10 hours a week for the comically trivial class, Olfaction in the Fine Arts. That class opened up my nasal cavities, but closed my mind. We'd have to smell a number of things in vials. Some were sweet and bland, others boisterous and gut-wrenching. But it seemed every series of vials had a vanilla one near the end. This was the only class with any breaks in it, which didn't make sense as they were 20-minute breaks, and this was the only building 20 minutes away from any other building on campus by foot. You couldn't really run or bike back because you weren't supposed to wear deodorant during the class. And that brings us to the professor who didn't act completely appropriately. I don't think it was a pervy thing. Her reasoning on most things, although trivial in nature, was sound. I mention her now as she seemed to gain enjoyment from BO, both male and female students BO. Her chest would slowly inflate to capacity with air, while close to nervous students. The class was small, only 7 students, and one dropped out the first day. She was a vegan, and the professor brought in 2 buckets of KFC chicken, and before explaining anything else or even saying what her name was, exclaimed,
"Colonel Harlan Sanders was the greatest installation artist to ever live."
Most of the students laughed at the prospect of some commercialized buffoon being a fine artist. The professor got an indignant look on her face as she passed out plates and offered us fried chicken. The same old 11 herbs and spices. The vegan stomped out, more disgusted by the smell of the meat than indignant.
"Listen, children. Art is about salesmanship, and there has never been a more genius salesman than Harlan David Sanders. Besides being a selfless philanthropist and brimming with vitality and life, he knew the importance of smell. In his hotel in Asheville, when people would come to stop for gas or to sleep for the night, they'd have to pay within smelling distance of his pressure cooker. Furthermore, if you wanted to taste that chicken again, you'd have to visit him again. As he put it in his 1969 ad, his craft was developed during the Depression, and his craft was one that stewed and brined in longing and memory."
That was a 3-hour lecture extolling the values of the colonel. She was rather convincing. As the class continued, we were tasked with incorporating smells into otherwise static art, painting or sculpture, etc. I was nursing a cold for about a month during the class, making the whole tuning my senses part of the class very hard, but in the end, I worked on a sculpture of lungs made out of Vicks Vapor Rub. It was a long haul doing this. We didn't have much space in that room, and I was always tired during it. Because there was nothing to do during the break, I'd go down to the vending machines in the basement and chill out and read. John Berger's way of seeing. It was a bit of a ritual I had. There was no light in that room except for the light coming from the vending machines. I'm not even sure it was for students. It wasn't presentable, but the whine of the vending machines was relaxing. Eventually, my professor figured out where I was going during the breaks and would walk by me every time. Only for a moment, but I wanted to be alone at that time. She must have figured out my feelings about this and stopped coming around. Not long after, I found 3 quarters right next to where I normally sit down in the vending machine room. I figured I'd purchase something, but most of the snacks didn't look good, maybe because I was sick at the time. So I clicked the code for some of those Grandma's cream sandwich cookies.